And it is election day. A lot of news to get to throughout the day, but right now we want to talk a little bit about the government shutdown, tariffs, and more. This is going to be part of a live conversation we're having with Representative Suzan DelBene. First off, just thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, I do want to just jump right in. I saw this post this morning, which I think kind of confuses us a little bit about what is going on with SNAP benefits, because we saw a Truth Social post come out from the president basically saying, hey, no one's getting SNAP benefits until Democrats open up the government. Then the White House came out and sounded like they may be cleaning this up, saying, hey, we're following orders. As a member of Congress, do you have any more insight than we do on this? I mean, how are you taking all this in?
It's unconscionable, and it kind of shows the dysfunction we've seen from this administration, where uh, we have 42 million people across the country, 900,000 in Washington state, depending on SNAP benefits that are critically important. We have a contingency fund in Congress, $6 billion that can help keep those funds flowing. A court ordered the Trump administration to release those funds. And then we have the president saying, no, I'm not going to do anything. The court said he has to. He said he's not. As you said, others in the administration said they're going to release them. There should be no question. This never even should have had to go to court. There is money there. It should be used. It's not surprising that this president isn't putting the needs of hardworking people across the country first, putting the needs of our kids and seniors first. Instead, he is arguing that he's not going to release the money, but he seems to find money when he wants it in other ways. So it's terrible what's happening. The need is great. I know our local community is coming together to find ways to help support folks during this time, but those dollars need to be there.
Let me ask you, this is kind of a strange situation right now for you all, because we know the Speaker of the House has you all in what I guess you would consider an extended recess. Y'all are not on the floor debating these issues. You aren't talking about what happens next. So what are you hearing from constituents? What are you doing with your time? What actually happens at this point?
Well, I'm in Washington, D.C. right now. I'm going to continue to fight to find a way to open the government and fund health care and make sure that we are supporting the programs the American people depend on. That's what people want to see across the country. And right here at home, people want to make sure that we have folks who are doing things that help our families across the country, and yet prices are skyrocketing. Healthcare prices are skyrocketing as a result of actions taken by this administration and Republicans in Congress. And they won't even come into work to come up with a solution. If you talk to folks on the ground, they want to see the tax credits extended for the Affordable Care Act so that premiums for people on the exchange stay down. They want to make sure that we are continuing to fund SNAP, that we are investing in programs that help our communities. We can do all of that. We can have the government open. We need folks to come to the table to do things. We need a bipartisan solution. That was always true, and it's still true today. But they're not, to your point, they're not even here in town.
Do you think at some point Democrats lose resolve to continue this fight? We know this is about tax credits at the end of the day. Do you fear any of your colleagues on the Senate side possibly cutting a deal, or do you think you get what Democrats were initially holding out for when this shutdown began?
I think, first of all, Republicans are in charge of the House, the Senate, they have the White House. They're supposed to be leading on this, and yet in the House, we can't even have a conversation about how to make sure we have a solution because they won't even come to town. And we're talking about their only focus has been on a short-term, what they call a continuing resolution. We need to fund the government for a whole year. We need to make sure programs like health care are that we're making those investments to help our communities. Costs have been going up across the country on housing, food, healthcare, childcare, energy costs. And it's the number one issue across our communities, affordability, and it's made worse by the actions taken by this administration. their big ugly bill that slashed healthcare across the country, slashed Medicaid, tax policy that favors the wealthy and the well-connected, hurting working families, and now more pain. In fact, I feel like they've seemed focused on what they can do to hurt working families, like the president saying he's not going to put the contingency funds into SNAP. He seems focused on being cruel as opposed to coming up with solutions to make sure we support families and open the government.
Well, I know this isn't your only focus right now because we also have this looming Supreme Court hearing tomorrow when it comes to tariffs. I know this is something that you've been outspoken on. You've introduced legislation, signed a brief to the court. Why has this particular issue drawn your attention, and what should we as the public be paying attention to here?
Well, we've seen, the president put sweeping tariffs on products that have impacted trade throughout our country, have impacted us as a very trade-dependent state, raising prices for families across the country. Groceries, probably one place where people fear it the most, really hurting our farmers, not only inputs for things like fertilizer, but taking away access to markets. All of this because of actions the president's taken that aren't legal. These are issues of tariffs and trade need to come before Congress. And the case before the Supreme Court is about whether the president has authority to do what he's doing. I do not believe he's not. I've also put forward, as you mentioned, legislation to make it very clear that he does not have the authority to do this. He has to come to Congress. If he thinks he has a great idea, then it needs to come to Congress and we need to vote on it. It is incredibly disappointing that Republicans in the House, who are in charge of the House, have not been willing to have a vote to make sure we continue to uphold congressional authority here. The Constitution is clear, but the court is going to weigh in now. And we need stability and certainty going forward. A president who on a whim, because he doesn't like a commercial during the World Series and changes tariffs, that's damaging to the economy across the country, hurting small businesses, farmers, working families.
Yeah, a reference there to what happened with Canada to the north of us. Let me ask you, just from a historical perspective, norms. It seems like norms are being shattered when we're talking about how long this government shutdown has been going on. I know we hit like a new record if we get to tomorrow, which at this point seems more than likely. When folks ask you, is what you're seeing normal? What is your response?
It's not, and it shouldn't be. This shouldn't be the norm. The norm is that the fiscal year always starts on October 1st. We should be working on policy that actually helps our communities, and we should be working on bipartisan policy. That's how we keep moving. We keep the government funded, keep programs going. Republicans were never interested in passing legislation. They never came to the table. October 1st came and went, and they're not even in town. That's not normal. We need to make sure that we have folks who are doing the number one most important job that we have, which is in our title, serving as a representative of their communities. They need to come back to town and make sure that they're doing their part to represent their communities, not just being a rubber stamp for Donald Trump.
Oh, Representative DelBene, we do appreciate you taking time to talk with us today. Any parting words that you want our viewers to be thinking about as we move forward in day 35 of this shutdown?
We're going to keep fighting. We need to make healthcare affordable in this country, undo the Republican healthcare crisis. We need to make sure that SNAP funds are getting released. We need to make sure the government's open. I'm here fighting to do that. I wish Republicans were willing to do that too.
All right, Suzan DelBene joining us live here on the Fox Local Live Desk. We do appreciate you taking the time.